my tent right now. It's Wednesday evening. Had an interesting day today. Shane ended up leaving today. Worked out best for him to get going today, so he ended up heading out. We restocked at the truck, and then we headed out after a bull we named Rocky. We'd hear this bull probably bugle once or twice every morning and every evening, and that's all he would give us. So that's all we had to go off of. So we ended up stalking on him one morning, but it couldn't quite get close enough before he shut up. So we ended up leaving him for a few days, and we came back after Shane left, and we set up camp near a meadow that was by where that bull was bedded on a ridge. So we ended up sneaking in there by an hour and a half before dark, and waited for him, because we're waiting for him to just drop down the ridge and then head towards those meadows, and we're hoping to ambush him. But while we're sitting there, these two North Carolina guys ended up riding through that ridge and bugling and worked down. So we ended up meeting up with them and kind of figured out what our game plans were. And they ended up saying that they ran into a few bulls in a nasty canyon that we had planned on hunting tomorrow, but they were super nice and let us have full reign of it tomorrow. They said there's a couple bulls in there they tried to hunt today, but they couldn't quite see the deal. So hoping we can get in there tomorrow morning and shoot one. So we're super hyped for tomorrow, and we're hoping to get in on some vocal bulls. It's been about a week and we haven't gotten any crazy action, so hoping tomorrow is gonna be the day Johnny can arrow a nice bull or cow or any elk. So yeah, we'll check in the morning, hopefully with some bugling bulls. Just walking through the woods here, just came across this tree with this broadhead in it. We'll just roll the clip here just to show you guys why this broadhead's sitting in here. He might come in, but be ready. Here he comes, here he comes. Get ready. Can you shoot him? Now we're right where my bull was standing, kind of, so we're heading up that ridge, hoping to locate a bull and hopefully knock one down. Yeah, hopefully we can stick one today. That's the plan. Let's get after it. Hey guys, well, we made up on top of where this bull's been hanging out, we think. Nice little big bed right here. He's gonna send her, see if we get a response on that nasty canyon. stay tuned. We're just daydreaming of real food. What we're gonna get when we leave the mountains. Definitely McDonald's. Yeah, definitely gotta do that. The McDonald's stop. Just fill up. Oh, you wouldn't believe what your mind does after 8 days in Elk Country. The food you want to eat. Just waiting for that wind to change, guys. Ooh, we're getting close, dude. Starting to side hill now. It was going down. Now that the sun's come up, it's starting to shift up. That's what we want. We want that wind coming up the mountain so that when we're riding this ridge top, none of our wind is dropping down onto any bulls or any elk that are bedded on this mountainside. So, alright guys, well, we're done with our break. Got the whole faces all painted up. Looking nice. Where I had kind of up behind me, up on this flat. Work a little bit down this bend, you could say. And just, we might fire a call off and see if we can get one of these bulls bedded and call into us. So, we're gonna move up, kind of get somewhat set up and see if we can get something to fire back, and we can make a stalk this whole afternoon and get something riled up. So start working in and see what happens. Hey guys, well, we came from way down the canyon. We've made ourselves go all the way around this rim, and we think if those elk are still where we thought we heard them this morning, they're gonna be over a ridge or two that way, or there's a little middle ridge right out here that they might be bedded on. So just in case, we're gonna throw out a bugle. We're gonna quick eat some snacks and stuff, but big old pro tip, always have your arrow knocked when you're taking lunch or something, especially if you call before you eat, because most of the time an elk will come in silent and then you aren't ready and you miss that shot out opportunity. So Dave's gonna let her rip quick so we can get a response before we eat, and then we'll keep an eye out, see what happens. Time to dig in and eat some food, guys. You ready to eat some food, Dave? Yeah, I'm starving. I'm pretty starved. Let's dig in. So there's one downside to sounding pretty good, like an elk. You get hunters following you literally the whole day. Dave's finally going to walk and try to find him, because literally the whole day they've been following us. We went over there a little bit ago on the top of a ridge. We couldn't see him, but we just whistled. Cow called, tried to get him to walk out, but nothing. Yep, there they go again. Just convinced we're elk, I guess. Please stop following us so we can actually hunt real elk. That would be awesome. Alright guys, well, last half hour we've had 2 pretty close encounters. I believe it's still day 8. I think we're up on this point. Dave's gonna try to bugle up, see if we can get anything to sound off before dark. That way we can pinpoint it and hopefully get on him tomorrow morning. Hey guys, just checking in from the crib. It's Thursday night. Sitting in my tent. Today was a pretty rough day. We hiked super high up a ridge, and kind of rode this ledge all the way around this huge canyon in hopes to find some bulls that these other hunters were talking about. So we went way around. We got the top of one ridge, and Johnny Olson smelled elk, and I smelled it right after he said he smelled it. So Johnny quick kind of started moving in. I stayed back getting ready to call, and he thought he could hear footsteps right over the rise of the ridge out in front of us.
So sure I could hear him walking up in there. Like it dipped straight down and there's some beds on this hillside. Pretty sure I could hear walking up in there. I could smell him really good. So I don't know if he just picked a wind, like got her wind at some point and he just took that ridge down and got out of here or what, but nothing. Absolutely positive I could hear walking up in there, going back and forth, like a bull checking his cows or something. I thought it was about to happen, man. I thought it was gonna happen.
Did you hear him run off though?
I don't know, I could just hear footsteps for a little bit, and then nothing for a while. So then that's why you started bugling and stuff, and then nothing. So I just started bugling, walking in on this, see if he wanted to fight, but he probably got his cows and ducked down.
Something never smelled us out because the wind was always coming
Yeah,
towards us.
pretty sure it's always coming up, so they just chickened out, I think. They probably just went. It all started with a whiff, right? Caught a whiff of them. And I just walked down, I think, and then I stopped. I could hear footsteps.
So we kind of walked over to the edge of the ridge where he heard the footsteps, and there was just a ton of beds all along that north face of that ridge. So pretty sure it had to have been a bull. Just didn't like the calling and just chickened out and booked it down the mountain. So we kept going, and at some point the other hunters ended up catching up with us again. Pretty sure they were trying to hunt us because they thought we were a bull. So made it lose them, and ended up running over a few other ridges, smelled elk, but didn't get in anything. And again, the hunters ended up catching up to us, started cow calling and bugling at us. So we made it clear that we weren't, elk and hunters, and, did whistling, cow called a ton of times in a row. And I went over the ridge to where they were calling and tried to look for them, just to let them know that, hey, we're hunting this way, wondered where you guys were going because we don't want to butt heads. But of course they hid and shut up, so I couldn't find them. So as soon as we left that ridge, there they go calling again. So we go over there again, try to find them, but of course couldn't find them because they hid and stopped calling. So we barked and chuckled at them and just booked it out of there. Try to get as much ground between us and them because it just seemed like they were almost following us on purpose and being super annoying because we were about to go to a spot where we thought there might be elk and we didn't want them following us, making a ton of racket. So we quickly got ahead of them, got to the top of a ridge, ended up going by some walls that we wanted to check and see if they were freshly hit. Because if they were freshly hit, we're planning on sitting on them for a day or so. But none of them were really hit much. And we got to this one spot and we were just exhausted and sat down, started planning what we were going to do for the next few days. And all of a sudden we hear a pop at the bottom of the mountain below us. Johnny got about to the edge of a ledge. You could hear it walking, and he's like, well, I need to get up on this. There's this big rock outcropping in front of him. He had to walk on a log to get up onto it, and he wanted to get up there so we could actually get a shot because they had too much brush and trees in front of him. So we started climbing up the log, and when he was halfway up the log, that elk took off. The elk must have barely heard him climbing that log or something and booked it down. Johnny quick got up, climbed the log, and got in that rock outcropping, and me and him just started cow calling. And sure enough, that elk must have stopped down in that bottom at like 70 or so yards away. And Johnny had an opening picked out for it. He's watching one opening, but then he glanced it farther to the right than he thought it ran. And he saw the back end of it just disappearing behind some brush, and it was heading right for his opening. But unfortunately, he never saw it again. And like a minute or two later, he heard it just crash down the mountain because it must have circled either downwind or just didn't like what was going on and just got out of there. So we're pretty hyped. Super close. Got an arrow knocked and almost got a shot in an elk. Finally. So we decided to hike up the mountain on the top of a ridge to make camp because our wind was starting to sink down and we didn't want to blow any more elk out. So we got up on top, dropped our packs where we wanted to make camp, decided to get to the top of that ridge we were going to make camp on and just bugle over the opposite side and see if we can't get any bulls to respond and maybe hunt yet tonight, because we had like a half hour, 45 minutes of light. And we got to the edge and bugled. And probably a minute or two after I bugled, all of a sudden elk just takes off. You just hear it running. Johnny quick gets ready because it almost sounded like he was running at us, like a bull coming in to fight or whatever. But it ended up, I think, heading down into the drainage below us. It had to have been like within 40 yards away from us when I bugled and just sat there and just didn't like it and ran down. So we think it was either a small rag bull or cow. So that took off down to the bottom and went out and did some sound checking to see if we can find any bulls for tomorrow, but we didn't get any responses. So basically it's gonna be a get up in the morning, sound check, and then take our time getting all packed up and do a little bit of hunting around this ridge that we're on. And then we're gonna probably slowly head back towards the truck and then start getting to a hotel and recover this whole weekend before we head out again. Might look for a new trailhead or somewhere else to hunt because all these bulls are just super quiet, not talking at all. All the elk we ran into tonight weren't talking at all. We just happened to be close enough to hear them walking around. So it's kind of frustrating with all the hunting pressure. So we're gonna go recover because we did a whole lot of hiking, a ton of hiking on some rocky boulder fields and whatnot. So we're exhausted and we need some time to recover before we head back out. So that's all I got. Stay tuned.